So welcome everybody. It's 9/17, September 17th, 2020, and this is the Historic Districts Commission meeting in Concord, Massachusetts. I'm calling the meeting to order. Let me just read my little prepared statement here. We have this evening one new public hearing, and that's it. No other continued hearings this evening. And we are obviously holding this meeting online, but to preserve open meeting law, the public has access to the deliberations. And I'm not sure if any of the public is here, but we have a team from the applicant at least. So if you are not a member of the commission and you have a question, please use the raise hand platform, which I think almost everybody in the United States knows how to use now. Or if you're dialing by phone, *9, or just wave and one of us will see you. The host, which is Heather Gill, I think Heather, right here, Heather G, we have two Heathers, will mute and unmute, but I think because we're one project, we'll just leave everybody on. Although if it starts to break up, Heather may cut the video out just to preserve bandwidth. Once there are no more public comments, I will ask for a motion to either continue, approve with conditions, or disapprove. A second for that motion, and we'll do a roll call vote. So welcome again, everyone, and let me just take a roll call to start us off to see who's present tonight. And I'm just going to go in the order on my screen. Kate, are you present?
Yes.
Kate's present. Paul?
Yes, as far as I know, I am present.
All right. Abigail?
Here.
Nia? Nia, you're muted, but I see you. Catherine?
Here.
And Luis?
Present.
All right, thank you all. So why don't we get started? This is a new hearing for 155 Monument Street to construct a new detached garage structure with site improvements, including paving and walkway. Pardon me. Repaint the existing house, existing doors, and lighting to match the new structure. So welcome, folks. Now this is Martha Gray. Martha, there you are, on the phone. And Heather, can we see the application materials, please? May we?
Yes, I can.
And Martha, what we'd love to do is have a quick presentation or just a description of the work. Would you mind giving that, or do you have someone else you want to give that? Oh, you're muted though. There you go.
Okay.
All right, Heather's going to bring up the material and maybe just tell us what you're up to there.
Okay. So the main house on the property is a 1916 bungalow. Mm-hmm. We have already been to historic. It's already has been approved. I sent Heather Carey the elevations in case you wanted to see that. So the paint colors, we will not be painting the house now. Once it's renovated, it will have new shingles, and we'll paint the new shingles. So that's a small error. So once the renovation on the house is done, it will be painted.
Okay.
Okay. The detached garage, we are a family of 4. We have 2 college-age children who are miraculously on campus. And I have always worked at home, always worked remotely with my students, but my husband has an international company, and he traveled extensively around the world. And now we are proposing the detached garage as a home office for his work. It's a small office. The office is 250 square feet. It has a side shed to store bikes. And we designed it, the house is a 1-story bungalow. So we're working very hard to keep the house small and cottage-like. We like that it's a bungalow. And we think this little structure will be sweet. It's kind of a quiet presence. You can't see the whole structure from Monument Street when people walk by. And the architecture is very similar to the house. It has the little roof overhangs and the rafter tails and the craftsman door, a little nod to the arts and crafts.
Heather, could you could you slide down to the elevations? There we go. Thank you. Okie dokie. All right, I'm sorry I interrupted you there, Martha.
That's okay.
I just wanted to look at the elevations. Okay. And all right, I think we're just so you know, we're going to want a site visit just to see this staked out on the property. But let me see if there are any questions off the top of my head. Could you describe the lighting again a little bit?
The lighting is, hold on one second. I did submit a spec sheet. Can you see me now?
Yes.
Okay. So it is, I don't know if I should hold this up for you. It should be in the packet. It's a linear lantern.
Okay, we can see if it's in the packet. We can see it.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I also submitted a door that will go on the front of the house as well as the little structure.
Alrighty.
So there won't be any spotlights or.
Go ahead. Just a note on the lighting. We want to make sure that fixture is dark sky compliant, which I think this one might be because it's got a cover on it, but just to ask the manufacturer if that's
okay.
thing.
I will do that. Thank you.
All right. I don't see any other material. There are the elevations, the plans.
There are paint colors that have been submitted for the house and the detached structure.
I see that, and a little landscape plan as well.
Yes.
Okay. I see the door. I see okay, we're looking through the same things. The colors. All right. Maybe tell us a little bit about the landscape plan.
The landscape plan, when you come here for a site visit, you'll see we have a driveway that's very long and narrow, and people pulling out. You have to back out onto Monument Street, and there have been some accidents. Amazon has been hit, so it's really. I've been trying to think of a solution for that. Little parking on the side. So when a car pulls in and goes down to the driveway, it's a 5-point turn to turn around to get back out. So Amazon will just drive over your lawn. It's crazy. And then if people back out, it's dangerous. You could hit a pedestrian. So I came up with a circular driveway, which I think we're presenting that in the chip seal coating because I'm not a fan of asphalt.
All right.
And then the walkway, the front of the house now, we have 2 walkways, one to the driveway and one to the front of Monument. So we thought a little gate, there are some shrubs that need to be trimmed down, and we thought a little gate and maybe a brick walkway to the front door. So there'd only be one brick walkway. We would remove the other.
Gotcha. Okay, I'm just scrolling through the material. Why don't I, thank you for that presentation. I'm going to just go around and because we're not sitting at the table together and going left to right, I'm just going to go again by the roulette wheel on my screen and ask commissioners for comments.
Okay, great.
All right. Kate, you happen to be first. Thoughts?
I do. Thoughts. Technically, no, I have no problems with the appearance of the accessory structure that's being proposed. I'd like to see a drawing in relation to the existing house. Is there one of those in the packet? I didn't see it.
No, there's not.
I think that would be important for us to see.
Okay.
The driveway, I know where this house is. I had a son go to Fenn, and I remember when you've come before us before. Plus, I own a bungalow elsewhere, and so I'm very fond of this house. And I could see the headaches that your driveway would cause. But running a driveway across the yard in a historic district gives me great pause, particularly if it's likely that cars will be parked there, which would be tempting. Why wouldn't they be?
Well, if you look at the illustration, there's the architect drew, there's a circular drive, but there's a little place to the south that you could tuck a car so it wouldn't be in the driveway.
Yes, I did see that. And actually, that's what flagged my attention. So I'm still just sort of digesting this. I'm trying to think of other examples in the district where we've dealt with this. I know, for instance, on Main Street, not far from the one that was kind of turned into condominiums, the big yellow house guys that, they needed to put parking there. We gave a lot of thought to where cars would be on that site. So I think this, requires that same kind of thought.
Would you prefer not having that little spot to park?
Yeah, I would. I'm still just thinking about the whole driveway myself, although I know you need some kind of relief because I absolutely get your parking thing. And I think semicircular driveway is a nice idea with the symmetry that, is presented in a bungalow. It's a nice counterpoint, but that little south wedge definitely gives me pause while I'm still digesting the whole thing in general.
Yeah, I would take that out if that bothered you.
Okay. Food for thought.
Little wedge.
If it's any comfort, we're going through this at a different scale at the Concord Public Library right now. The same issues.
Okay.
All right, thank you, Kate. Catherine, you are next. There you go.
In looking at the drawings, I would share Kate's comment. I'd like to see it in relationship to the existing house. But in terms of all the materials being supplied, in terms of the palette, the paint colors, the doors being proposed, the light fixture, I think it all looks like it's going to be a very handsome project. I think it looks very integrated and nice.
Thank you.
I would want to study the driveway, I think, a little more as well. I mean, in my case, I'm not being as familiar with exactly where it is. I mean, I do know fundamentally where it is, but in terms of relationship to how you can see it from the street, et cetera, I may want to actually go to the site. But otherwise, I think it looks very good.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Catherine. Abigail, you're next in my screen rotation.
What is the ridge height on the proposed new structures compared to the ridge height of the existing bungalow?
I'm sorry, I could not hear you.
Sorry, the ridge height of the proposed new structure in relation to the ridge height of the existing bungalow.
So the existing bungalow is 23, hold on one second. I think it is 23 and a half feet, the bungalow. Mm-hmm. And the structure is 21 feet, 6 3/4 inches.
Okay.
The first design, we could make it bigger according to the town, but it was too tall, even though it was still under the 24 feet. And this I like much better, the 21 feet.
Okay. Yeah, no, I mean, I think a site visit's warranted. It's a lot of changes, and it's on a, it'll all be kind of visible and prominent. I don't have any strenuous objections or outstanding questions off the bat, but I look forward to a site visit.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Abigail. Paul, where?
Yeah, so could we put up the I don't know if it's a landscape drawing, but the drawing that shows the semicircular driveway. And I was just wondering, right now, the only driveway that exists, I'm not familiar with the site, is the perpendicular driveway on the starboard side, on the right side of the picture.
Yes.
Right, all the way up.
All the rest of the semicircle is a new proposed area.
Yes.
So that looks like a very significant proportion of the land. Is that a good guess? I mean, you're going to have a driveway that's at least 12 feet wide. So you're chewing up a lot of front lawn or whatever is there. In any event, without gilding the lily here, I have the same concerns, but my concern isn't really any more than just using so much land mass for effective driveway. And I don't know whether there's another way sort of on the bottom of this picture as you approach Monument Street to have, to have the driveway flare both back toward town and toward Old North Bridge to solve some of this, what you perceive to be the safety issue, as opposed to effectively not paving, but covering so much of the front of the yard. Anyway, this is all site visit stuff, and I presume you would stake in some fashion the proposed driveway so we could speak the contours.
I can do that. Yes.
Yeah. I think the trick is going to be that big tree.
The big tree is, that tree is new. There was a tree there when we moved in that was removed because it was dead. I'm proposing the tree.
All right, terrific. Thank you, Paul. Nia.
I echo some of the things that have been already said. When I looked at the drawings, I, like Abigail, was looking at the height of the new building relative to the ridge line of the, what I call the garage, the existing garage section. The charm of this bungalow from the street is that it really hugs the land. It has a very low profile. And I know when we worked on this property in the past, we were, the land drops off in the back, and the garage section of the existing house is quite large. And we were concerned about that sort of overwhelming the bungalow part of the house. And so I think the site visit is very important. I can't remember who it was who asked for some sort of elevation of the streetscape that would show the existing bungalow and the new building, so that we're absolutely sure that the new building really does read as very much subordinate to the bungalow. It may not be subordinate. It may well be subordinate to the garage section of the back of the house, but I think what reads from Monument Street is the bungalow. And so I think we have to be very careful with those proportions, those scales.
Okay.
I also echo the concern about adding a very large amount of hardscape to the front of this property. I appreciate that it has been proposed to be chip seal, but nevertheless, it is hardscape. And I'm wondering if there are, as Paul mentioned, any other options to improve safety, which of course is critical, without having to drive all the way across the front of this charming house.
I know. I hear you. I mean, I've tried to draw in, little parking areas, and I don't want cars parked even on the side of the driveway. So it's a tough one.
Okay. All right, Nia, were you through? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody basically needs a site visit with the driveway staked out and the proposed building and the a board with the height, the height of the ridge line, if possible.
Okay.
Gotcha.
I think, frankly, balloons are a disaster.
Okay.
especially if it's cold. All right, thank you, Neil. Luis.
I think that I echo all the comments about the driveway. The only addition that I would make is the fact that the driveway is trying to address a safety issue, and the safety issue is a matter of making a turn. So you can have a driveway where you can make a turn, which is much smaller than a driveway. I mean, you can have a driveway by which you can come in one side and get out on the other one, which is much smaller than a driveway where you actually have to maneuver inside. So this driveway could be made much smaller if it is strictly designed to be an in and out without any possibility of parking.
Okay.
And I think that would be one of the solutions.
Are you talking just more narrow?
Yeah, well,
Okay.
I don't want to focus on one particular aspect to say I think that the landscape architect or the architect would be very capable of diminishing the proportion of the intervention that is being made such that it becomes basically a U-turn. So the Amazon guy doesn't have to go back and hit the house or something, or back up into Monument Drive, which would be horrible
Right.
on Monument Street.
Okay.
So,
Would you like me to have that drawn?
well, I think I am not advising for anything in particular, but what I'm saying is that are the things that I see, and I think that this would be an interesting option to explore because it would create actually a fairly cozy environment, if we want to use that word, which will fulfill the requirements that you have currently in terms of safety.
Okay.
Then, of course, if you want to park cars, you see there's a space in front of the garage, which is actually almost as big as the house. And some other interventions can be made there such that there's a space to park cars or even to back up. And, if they need to back up, go in and back up, then they can back up right there in front of the garage instead of backing up in front of the house. That's all really I can say.
Thank you, Luis.
Thank you.
All right, so Martha, where we meet next on October 1st. Oh my God. October 1st. Correct, Heather? I'm looking at you. Heather, we would propose a site visit for 8 a.m. on October 1st, if that works for you, Martha.
That we can make that work.
Okay. And I think I think you've been through this drill before. If you haven't, you can see what we'd like to do is see everything staked out.
Okay.
With just, markers. Ideally, we somehow could gauge the ridge height. Now, Nia joked about balloons, which I know are a nightmare, but if there's, you can usually have a couple of pieces of wood braced and staked together, just to be able to see in relation to the existing house.
Okay.
And also, and I actually know Ramsey Gord. We were in school together.
Oh, you went to Cornell together?
We did, yes.
Yes.
And I think if he could draw an elevation that shows the proposed building in context with the existing house, probably both elevations, the long and the short, even though it's foreshortened because it's down the driveway. Those would be really helpful to see.
So you're talking from the street?
I think from the street, although that view, as you know, an orthographic drawing is going to look like they're right next to each other, so it's a little weird. But
okay.
the long elevation will be really helpful to see the long view of the house with the proposed new building next to it. But both would be helpful.
So from the north, you want the...
Is that the north? Sorry,
I just want to make sure I have him draw the right thing.
Yes, I think we're looking at the
front of the house is the east elevation.
The east elevation
Yes.
is the front, and the long
The driveway
side
is the north.
is the north.
So the detached structure is in the northwest corner.
It would be east and north elevations, if I'm
Yes,
correct.
there it is.
East and north. Okay.
I believe so, yes.
I'm sure Ramsey can do that.
Oh, there
for
it
us.
is. Okay, sorry, I was looking at the wrong drawing. East and north. Yep. Okay.
I also
All right.
am
Yes.
wondering if you've talked to engineering about getting a second curb cut and if they would permit that.
I have not done that yet. I wanted to see what you folks thought first.
Okay.
Yes, there you go. And I'm looking at Google Earth images, and they're in different seasons. How fascinating. So I see how it works, the driveway. Okay, well, we'll come out in a couple of weeks. If there are additional materials before then, if the architect's able to do any drawings, you can certainly send them in, but the idea would be to do the site visit, and then that evening, you'd be first on the continuing hearings, and we'd review it again.
Okay, great.
All right, before we go back to the public, any last words from commissioners? Any final, Nia, yes?
I did, when Luis was talking, I did have one further observation, that a very nice brick pathway is proposed with a gate. And when I looked again at the landscape plan, that driveway through it, I think also impacts the visual effect of that pathway, because it bisects it.
It breaks it up.
And I think that's something maybe the others could look at when we do the site visit as well.
Okay. All right, why don't I ask for public comment? Is there any public comment on the application for changes to 155 Monument Street? Yes, ma'am, I see a hand raised. Mary Ellen, you have to unmute yourself there. Hi there, tell us who you are.
Yes, I'm Mary Ellen Walter. This is Eric, my husband.
Hi, folks.
And we're at 167 Monument Street.
Mm-hmm.
Our property abuts the Grays right along the driveway.
Mm-hmm.
And so the Grays' house covers most of their lot with very little green space, especially in the backyard. The large size and tall height of the two-story structure is not in proportion to the size of the lot. It will look too crowded, especially as the large two-story structure will be visible from Monument Street. We are strongly opposed to the proposed large two-story structure. What seems more appropriate for the size of the backyard, a very small backyard, is either a shed or a standard one-car garage.
All right. Sir, did you have anything to add?
No.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Other public comment? Yes, ma'am. So you have to unmute yourself there. All right. Tell us who you are.
Hello, my name is Neela Srinath, and this is my
Hi.
husband, Srinath. Hi. Our house is on 20 Lang Street. And in fact, the Gray's house, the backyard abuts us. The backyard backs up to our backyard as such. I want to thank you for this opportunity kind of to voice some of our concerns. My husband and I are quite concerned kind of about the intrusive nature of this large, somewhat looming two-story structure just 5 feet away from our property line. We feel this large structure would be a jarring addition to the beautiful natural landscape. In addition, taking into account the lack of space in the backyard, we feel like this large structure, where it's intended to go, doesn't seem proportional to the size of that area. So since moving to Concord, we were in fact in front of this commission 4 years ago. We've made every effort to enhance the natural beauty of the area by planting trees and shrubs. We just feel something of this scale, which will be, from our perspective, 30 feet wide, 21 plus feet tall, in effect, a large wall just 5 feet from our property, feels very intrusive. And as I think Mia, or I can't remember who said that, it feels very overpowering to the size of the house. We really moved here to enjoy this beautiful natural landscape. So it just feels we'll be on top of each other. So as abutting neighbors, we are close to the construction of this kind of large two-story, remember it's 2 stories also, it's not just a single car garage, it's a 2-story structure, and it's just barely 5 feet from our property. So thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you. Other public comment, 155 Monument Street. I don't see any at the moment. All right. Well, thank you, folks. So the site visit is public now. We are under COVID restrictions. So Heather, can you tell us if there's any update? Can we be 6 feet away from one another and all be there at the same time?
Yep, so everyone just has to wear a mask at the site visit and has to maintain a minimum of 6 feet apart.
Okay, and just a reminder to folks outside the commission, we aren't able to deliberate at the site meeting. We can ask questions,
Yes.
but we can't, the purpose of the meeting isn't to discuss. We're just there to sort of see the proposed work, and then we all go on with our days.
Yeah, Peter, because of COVID, could it not be a public site visit? Could we request that?
No.
I don't think so. I think it.
If the commission is going to do a site visit, it has to be public.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I have to do.
We could do a site visit that everyone goes individually on their own time, but I don't know how that would work out.
Yeah, it's still public.
Then
it would just be a longer site visit.
Yeah, the driveway.
We did that at the library. It was a 3-hour site visit.
Yeah, it's just the COVID thing is a concern. But
yeah, well, I think we will ask people to stay far apart. And again, it's not a discussion. We're really there to just observe and ask questions. I think it'll become evident as soon as we get there. We'll see how things are staked out, and we'll see the proposed ridge height.
okay, great.
Shouldn't be any controversy on that. All right, does that make sense, Martha, what the next step is? And thank you, folks, for your public comment. Does it make sense what our process is? Is it clear?
Yes.
Okay. All right, any last wisdom from the commissioner? Can we move on to that was our only hearing tonight, so we're on to other business. All right, well, thank you, folks. You are free to.
Peter, we need a.
Yes. Oh, right. Sorry. I need a vote.
Point of order. Who are the 5?
Yeah. Well, hold on. We do have a hand raised in the audience. Stuart Wilson.
Ah, okay. Stuart. Boy, I will get ahead of myself. Stuart, go ahead. Are you? Can you unmute yourself there, sir? You're still muted.
Stuart, you need to unmute yourself.
Right, I see it. Okay.
There you are. There you go.
Oh, okay.
Okay, go ahead.
Well, we're on Lang Street, and we're at 30 Lang Street, which is one lot over from the Srinath lot. And so we have essentially the same objection that they have, about the height of the new structure, the height and width right there, so close, and especially in the winter, as we look across, it's going to look like maybe some sort of a public, an apartment house of some kind. So I'd just like to second Neela and Shree's point there. That's all I have to say at this point, I guess. Thank you.
All right. Thank you for the comment, Stuart. Sorry, I didn't mean to pass over you there.
No,
Kate,
I'm
did you
sorry.
have Kate, were you? Oh, you're muted. Sorry. No, you're okay. All right. Sorry, I got ahead of myself there. Is there any other public comment? I don't think so. All right. So I would look for a motion from the commission. Thank you for reminding me. Luis, you have to unmute yourself, though. You're muted.
I move that we continue the application for 155 Monument Street, and that we set up a site visit for October 1st.
At 8 a.m.
At 8 a.m.
All right. Can I get a second?
Second.
All right. All in favor? I'm just going to go around. Kate? Wait, so the 5 members voting are Luis, Mia, I
Paul.
guess, and
Paul.
me, Paul,
Paul.
and Abigail. How about you?
Great.
That's 5. But I'll take everybody's vote anyway. Kate, what do you say? You're an aye. Paul's aye. Abigail?
Aye.
Aye. Nia?
Aye.
Catherine?
Aye.
And Luis?
Aye.
And I also vote we continue. So thank you. I think we're done, finally. It only took 40
Thank you so
minutes.
much for your time.
Yes, thank you all, and thank you for
Okay.
public folks for attending.
Thank you, Peter.
All right.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you. All right. Well, that was our public hearing for the evening. So we have no continuances. Heather, no surprises at the end there. All right. So let's move on to other business. The first thing we have are improvements to the post office, just in time for the election. I'm just kidding. Are there folks here from the post office?
Yes, my name is Colleen Brewster. I work
Hi,
with Gray
Colleen.
Architects in Salem. Hi, everybody. Good evening.
Nice to see you. Tell us what's going on.
Well, first, thank you for adding me to the agenda. I appreciate
Yes,
that.
of course.
So we have the post office at 34 Walden Street, which I'm sure you're all very familiar with. So what we're doing is a restoration. I guess over the years, they've had multiple postmasters that have been trying to get funding from the post office to replace the wood and take care of all the window sills and the cupola. And I guess finally, I wrote a report that was convincing enough for them to fund this project.
Good job.
Thank you. So the work, the majority of the work that will be done is really just a replacement in kind.
Okay.
Windowsills will be replicated, excuse me, using Western red cedar. And at the cupola up above, we'll recreate that using Spanish cedar. It will all be painted to match the existing colors, white. But the one item for this is that there are 2 towers. You can see one of them in this photo.
Yeah.
So these were triangular steel lattice towers that were used for the Concord civil defense system. I haven't really been able to find much information on. And the basement was used as a fallout shelter. So the system has not been used for over 25 years. The towers are rusting. The tower on the right that you can see in the photo, actually squirrels use it to get on access to the roof. So I'm not sure if you noticed in the photographs that I sent, but there was a squirrel that was sitting in the cornice staring at me. That one section has been replaced in kind already. And then behind the cupola, there's another tower. So what we're looking to do is remove both of them.
I can only say that's got to be an improvement. I don't know about anything else.
Well, I can't see you guys wanting to keep it, for history's sake, but you never know.
That's true. I've been before some SHPOs which might say, wow, that is a historically bad example that needs to be preserved. Okay. So Heather, what's our step here? This is a replacement in kind.
Yeah, so all of the other work does not require an application because it's all replacement in kind. And I think they're wanting to get started on the work like right away. So that's why we're here under other business, just to see if removing the non-historic towers from the top can just be approved by you guys administratively.
Yes. Unless someone has a strong objection, I can't imagine why we would object to this. Unless it's going to interfere with the mail in any way, shape, or form.
I promise it will not.
I mean, just to be the stickler, I can't imagine the towers were a contingency of a previous application that we required them in some way. No, that would be the only thing. If they had been required in a previous application.
Gotcha.
But I have I have total and complete faith that they were not. And I don't, other than taking some photographs probably, because the town will, it's actually an interesting piece of history that that's what they were used for. Someone takes a couple photos, I think it's fine if they come down.
Well, we may all be visiting the fallout shelter in November. We don't know.
I hope not.
Depends how things go on the 3rd. Okay, so the only question I have, Colleen, is when the work starts, is there going to be, construction, fencing, and I mean, how big is the sort of site intervention going to be? Do we know
That's the thing we need to work out with the contractor. Okay. The contractor's already been selected. It's Mill City, I think, from Rhode Island. So we're not sure if they're going to use a lift, if there's going to be scaffolding, if they're just going to access it from the high flat roof. That's something that needs to be determined by them.
Okay.
And maybe we'll make sure everything is safe for the public way.
And a nice big sign that says what we're doing, public improvements, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can add a sign.
It's such an odd time for the poor post office. Okay.
Just a quick question.
Yes, Luis, go ahead.
There's no chance that there's some obscure government institution that has some jurisdiction over those towers, and it's going to say that they are crucial for national security or something like that?
Not that I've heard of, but I'll keep an ear out.
It actually is a good point. We did run into this with Homeland Security.
Yes, we did run into this before.
Really?
We did in front of the museum. We ran into those wires there that were top secret, who knows where from.
They said you can't take them down.
Yeah, there was a whole hoopla over that.
So maybe just check on that, Colleen, if you want.
Okay, I'll check. I mean, I do know they haven't been used in over 25 years, but I will check on them.
Except by the squirrels.
You never know.
Except by the squirrels, yes.
Never know.
That's right. You don't know.
I know I am not going around in a circle. Is there other comment from commissioners, or can we take a vote? Any other thoughts or comments? All right, well, how about someone make a quick motion?
I move that we give administrative approval to the removal of 2 antenna-like structures, or 3 antenna-like structures in the roof of the post office at Thoreau Street. Yeah.
I have a quick
Walden
thing.
Street.
One of them is, I'm not sure if it matters, but one is on the roof, the other one's at grade. So I don't know if the wording needs to be
from their current location.
Sure.
Okay, thank you. Can I get a second on that, please?
Second.
All right, and then all in favor, I'm just going to go around the horn. Kate? Aye. Paul? Luis?
Aye.
Nia?
Aye.
Catherine?
Aye.
And Abigail?
Aye.
And I also approve. So Colleen, thank you and good luck with that project.
Thank you.
We'll be eager to see it. All right, you are free to
Have a good night, everybody.
You too.
You too.
Please enjoy the rest of your evening. All right, thank you, folks. Do we have anything on the historic district expansions, Heather?
So I don't know, the document that we got from Lincoln doesn't really have design guidelines in it, like I was hoping, for some guidance on how more modern historic districts deal with design guidelines. So I plan on doing some more research. I don't know if anyone else has and come across any ideas or thought about how we want to incorporate design guidelines separately for Jenny Dugan possibly or not. I don't know if anyone has thought about that yet.
I have not. Nia, did you have a comment?
I would assume, given how different the structures are and the goals of the neighborhood in maintaining that, they're so different from our other guidelines. I would think that we would have to have some sort of, addendum at the end or special section for this new district that addresses the specific points that they want, that need to be preserved for these specific houses.
Yeah. And that was my original thought, was some sort of addendum at the end that would separately address design guidelines for just Jenny Dugan. I did invite Matt Anderson Miller and told him we were going to be discussing this tonight, and he said he was going to attend, but maybe he forgot. I don't know if someone wants to kind of help out or thinking about that and researching other towns that we can look for guidance from.
I would like to make a proposition.
Yes.
I think that we should set a group of 2 members of the HTC to work together to develop these guidelines. And, you know, I volunteer to be one of them, but I think that we should give it a very deep thought and thorough analysis of what type of guidelines are we going to put, because, you know, guidelines eventually become like rules. So this is a very interesting and very relevant environment, and it's very worth preserving. But on the other hand, you can get into very minute details that really don't capture the purpose of making this a historic district. And that's what, you know, a set of guidelines specifically may create. So those guidelines, of course, are necessary, but they have to be very well thought and very well worded. I think that we should work on that for the next several meetings if we can.
Yeah, because so we need to plan a public neighborhood meeting soon. Survey responses are due tomorrow. I've still only heard from about half of the people, but most everyone that I've heard from is either in favor or a maybe. So I haven't had any no responses yet, but I still haven't heard from like half the neighborhood. But we do need to plan a public neighborhood meeting pretty soon, because I think if we plan that, and just like what happened with the Main Street expansion, if people turn up and, you know, it's a big old nope from everyone, then we don't need to spend all this time doing the design guidelines.
Paul, you had a question.
Yes. Am I muted? No, I'm okay.
No, you're
have we answered the threshold question from the commission standpoint, whether we support it? Are we officially supporting Jenny Dugan Road, for example, as a new historic district? And so, in other words, I'm asking sort of a procedural question. Why are we worried about guidelines? We don't have a survey back. And do we know whether, and if so, for what reason, we are preserving this neighborhood? Seems to me there are some preliminary steps, but I might be out of step. I'm not sure.
It's a good question. I think you're right. I would like to see the survey results back, just so we have to put a pin in that and say that's done.
I can email out what I have tomorrow.
I also think we should do site visit. Frankly, I've driven up there once. And just one quick, slightly out of order thing, at the chair's breakfast on Wednesday, the Historical Commission is going to push a demo delay bylaw at next town meeting that for any structure in town 50 years old or older. So it's moving the sort of the demo delay up, and also town meeting may be in June. I don't know if you heard anything, Heather, but it probably won't be in April because it's too soon. But also, if we have to do it outside, April's still going to be cold. I don't know how many of you enjoyed town meeting on Sunday. It was, oh, Luis, I saw you there.
Yes.
So anyway, it's just that the time is slightly, we have a little bit more time, but not a lot.
I don't know if they're changing the deadline for a warrant article though. So December might still be our deadline. And then also as a reminder, I'll be gone. So I wanted to.
Well, for a couple of weeks, right?
Wrong.
You can bring the baby. It's Zoom.
So
Kate, yes, Heather's having a baby. Kate doesn't know.
Yeah. So I'm
okay, right.
trying to get the warrant article all submitted before I leave, so that I don't leave it all in, you know, Heather Carey's hands and Elizabeth's hands, and I don't want to leave them with all that work.
Okay. Well, we'll try to carry on without you one way or another, but thank you.
So
But Paul, I think you're right. At least in my time on this commission, we've never done this before, so I would assume at some point we would look around at each other and say, do we want to support this or not? We haven't done that yet. I think in general, yes, Kate.
Oh, sorry. Right. We had touched on it because I had done a little looking into it back in February or March, pre-COVID, when Matt first came around to us. And I saw that, in terms of this state, the Commonwealth, a number of other states, the National Trust, they all encourage this kind of preservations, so I had been reading, a bunch of findings then. And I just, I didn't know if things had continued on while I was, on my.
No, it kind of went into.
So I can work, if Luis wants to, I can work with Luis and maybe we can,
okay, thank you.
Tag team some more information once we get survey results back or whatever. I can help be part of the point team.
Okay. It's not a bad idea, and sort of to Paul's point, it would be interesting, I guess, for me as the chair to see a bit more specific sort of timeline. What are the dominoes that need to fall, including our own internal processes to get to a warrant article. So maybe if you two could start to compile that a little bit and just we'll discuss it at our next meeting or the meeting after that, that would be great.
And the warrant article is due December?
they're usually due, I usually end up submitting them like mid-December because the deadline's like January 1st or something.
Right, okay. And you vaporize sort of like early December?
Yeah, my due date's December 11th. So
Right.
I'm trying to, because I also staff historical commission, so I'm in charge of that warrant article for the bylaw amendments and then CPC. So I've been telling my commissions that I want to get everything done by December 1st, just in case she decides to come early. It's all done and in place.
Women are so unpredictable.
You're going to get yourself in a big trouble there, pal.
Yeah.
Watch out.
Good thing you're on Zoom and not here physically.
That's the only reason I haven't made that comment.
I would be clocking you with my handbag.
By the way, nice job, Heather, on the CPC stuff. That just sailed right through it.
I was in the back doing a happy dance that it all just flew by on the consent calendar.
That's good. All right, so our next step on this is, I don't know if next meeting is too soon, but why don't we just keep it on the other business, and if you all have an update for us, we'll go from there. But maybe starting to get the idea of a site visit together would be a good thing, or maybe we should just go start nosing around up there at some point. All right, does that make sense?
Do we want to set a date now for a site visit, or do we want to wait until next meeting and maybe Matt will be able to join us?
Let's wait till Matt's here. Yeah.
Okay.
I want to make sure we don't, they might have a block party or something. We don't want to show up at a block party. 21 Thoreau Street, is that basically non-controversial, or do we need to?
Yeah, we don't even need to hold a public neighborhood meeting or anything because it's just that one property and he wants it.
I mean, the only objection is going to be people who say, well, if this starts happening at every district, they're going to start to look like, coronavirus. They're going to have little spikes. All districts are going to have spikes all over them. But that's all we can do is just be ready to talk about that. It's okay. Mm-hmm. All right. Any other thoughts on the historic districts expansions or not? Yes, Paul, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to echo, I think, what the implication of what you've said. I think a sort of organized site visit would be useful. I don't know whether we can even have a site visit at which we can actually discuss it, not approval or not approval, but can we speak to each other and get views, or at least understand people's perspective while we're there? Or is that too close?
No, I think we can. I think that's what Matt was. We were trying to arrange that when we went into COVID shutdown.
Yeah, I remember.
Basically host us in the neighborhood and kind of give us a tour. So I think we would like to do that again. So let's revive that. I don't know if Luis and Kate, if you would be in touch with Matt through Heather.
I'll email him about the October 1st meeting. And I'll let them know that at that meeting, we want to kind of set a date for a site visit.
But I think Paul's right. If it's not, we're not discussing an application, so we're really just discussing the idea. So I think if it's a public meeting,
Right.
and anybody can be there, we can talk to each other, I think. Okay.
This is really to educate us.
Yes, I agree.
Okay. All right. How about we move on to minutes? Do we have the 8/6 minutes? Did we receive those, Heather? I think we. Did I look at them?
But it doesn't look like they were posted online, so you
I
don't.
don't think they were posted.
Yeah, I didn't see any.
The sustainability guide, everybody saw that, correct? You saw that link that our intern did. If you have not, maybe scan it. It's a nice document. I will say everybody at the chair's breakfast is looking at us with interest for whatever reason. People wanted to know what we're up to.
Maybe it's the chairman's haircut.
It could be. It could be.
So the
Abigail?
sustainability guide,
Yes.
I think would be, if the commission, is in favor of it, I think having a link to it on the HDC's webpage may be helpful to homeowners. I don't know if that's something you guys are amenable to.
But do we have to adopt it or something? You know
No,
what
I
mean?
think
You
it's
know?
just a reference for homeowners.
Okay, well, maybe let's do it this way. Why don't we just ask everyone to officially just look at it and see if there's anything in there you find objectionable. And then at the next meeting, we could do the vote saying, yes, let's put it on the resources part of the website. Does that make sense? Because not everybody's here tonight either.
I tried to find it. Was it emailed to us? I couldn't.
It's on the website under other business.
Right, and then is there a link to it there?
Yeah.
Oh, I know. Yeah, my computer wasn't letting me.
Is it simple enough to send it to us separately, Heather, so we can?
I'll send you guys this link to it. I can't email you the PDF because it's too large.
Okay.
I'll send you this link to it.
Thank you.
Take a close look at the solar stuff, because we just got to be, solar panels, just because we got to be careful if it goes on our website that we're not saying one thing in the guidelines and something else in this, something that we have on our site.
Well, which reminds me. Sorry,
and there may be other things. I was
going to say renewables in general. So heat recovery ventilators.
Right.
There may be other renewable energy pieces on sites, like if people do biogeothermal wells. So I think we're going to have a section on renewable energy systems. Solar is one. And that came up at the chair's breakfast as well. So, okay. So I would say look at that and we'll vote on it next time or move it to the other part of our site. And then the last thing on our agenda was 414 Main Street. There's some question about the fencing, Heather. I don't know that we've seen anything. I'm trying to think where 414 Main Street.
Yeah, I don't think we added that. So let me pull up that email to see.
Okay, I'm just going to look.
It was added today, I think, or at least I got the email today, the revised agenda today.
Oops.
Yeah, it was the 11th hour.
So this was a project that was approved in 2016, and they never put up the fence that they got the approval for. So they're looking to just put up the fence that they got approval for then. They're saying, they know they're well over the 6 month. I think they're basically requesting an extension of their COA from 2016 for the fence.
Okay. Abigail, this is your neighbor, right?
Yeah, this is the Clenards who live right next door to us.
So they've done a lot of work, right? That we've already.
Yeah, so the neighbor before us was it last year, and they did a renovation and expansion of the house. They added a dormer and things like that, and so they completed all of that work. They're now doing the landscaping. Some of this was necessitated by a very, very large tree falling through their house,
Oh,
which happened while they were away, unfortunately. And so now all of the work to the house is done. So they're finishing all of the landscaping. And we had discussed, I mean, I obviously can't be involved because I'm in a butter, but we had discussed the fence at one point. And she said, oh, we got this approval. It's this great fence. She's like, but we just never put it up because we knew we were going to have trucks coming in to do work. And now that nobody's coming in to do work anymore, I think they want to put the fence back up. So, or put the fence up.
okay. Do we need
Abby,
Yeah.
yes.
Abby, was it the big tree that was right out in front?
No, it was the tree. If you're looking at the house, it was the big tree to the left of the house. The tree in the front is still there. It
But
was
wasn't there always an issue? One of the reasons that she was having a problem and we were having a problem was that the fence in front was getting bulled up with that big tree.
the fence that they're putting on the road, the one that they're putting, you know?
Is that the one we're talking about?
Yes, I believe so. They never had anything installed there. There was something at one point. There's a whole bunch of granite curbing that they pulled out of there, like antique granite curbing.
And they had a whole bunch of drainage issues right there.
Yeah, so everything has been fixed. And I think that's now why they want to move forward with the fence, which I think is actually the design of the fence. Oddly enough, they copied the one at my parents' house in Carlisle.
Oh.
So that's actually the design of the fence that I believe they're using.
Do we have any information on that?
You could pull up a picture of my parents' house at 453 Bedford Road in Carlisle, and I think that will tell you what the fence looks like. But I don't have their application or approval obviously in front of me.
I don't either. Heather, do we need to vote on this?
Yeah, so it's up to you guys whether or not you want to grant an extension of the COA, or if they need to just resubmit a new application for the fence.
I mean, administratively, I think it'd just be cleaner to just extend the application rather than do a new one. If it's the same thing, right? There's no change.
That's what they indicated in the email, that they are just looking to put up that same fence.
Okay. Does that make sense, Abigail, to you, just to extend the?
Yeah, I mean, just nothing's materially changed in the front yard since that application was approved initially. The tree that went down was on the side of the house more towards the rear, and all of the work that they did that we approved last year was in the rear of the house. So I would say that nothing in the front landscape has changed that might change our approval or opinion of the fence. If it was approved then, the house still looks the same as when that approval was granted.
Just extend it.
Okay, let's just extend it. I think we just need a quick vote. So if someone would make a motion, that would be great.
How do we do this?
It's COA.
I was gonna say, but I move we extend the certificate of the certificate of appropriateness issued in 2016 to
X and Y.
414 Main Street to install fencing with the same characteristics as previously approved.
Second.
All right, all in favor? Let's just do a hand vote. Just raise your hands if you're okay. Abigail, are you okay with that? I've recused myself since I'm technically. Okay. All right, so we're approved to extend that application. Thank you. I just had one last thing to add.
Sorry, Peter, you have to appoint somebody voting because Abby recused herself, and she wasn't voting.
Why don't I include Catherine? Would you mind being the voting member there? Okay, thank you.
Sorry.
No, thank you for catching that. Thank you. I know I saw Nia and Luis at this week's library forum, the parking forum. I'm looking on the library's website. They said that the designs were up there. I can't find them right off the top of my head here. But I would recommend everybody look at the schemes. They had presented 7 schemes, some more refined than others. Hard to say which way they were supposed to meet yesterday and decide on a final strategy. There were arguments for and against. There were the schemes that we know. There was a new scheme with a circular driveway. So lots of discussion about traffic. But thank you, Nia and Luis, for attending. And I think who else was there? Melinda was there. So we're going to hear more on that, and everybody's in the town is curious what we're going to do. So we're back on the hot seat. Of course.
I just wanted to make one observation, which I thought it was quite curious, which was the fact that there were about 7 designs options for the handicap parking, and about 5 of those were from people from the community, which were being given as much weight as those generated by architects. So it seems that they really don't have much commitment about anything.
Well, they did one scheme, basically.
Well, yeah.
So they're listening. I do think they're listening. The Commission on Disabilities was there. People are feeling like, well, at least they're heard. But the reality is we've approved the curb cut scheme or the bump in scheme. If they wanted to, they could build that. So they're trying to do the right thing. But anyway, is there any other business people have to bring? As I said, the committee's chair's breakfast was very interesting, and everybody seems to be interested in our work, so that's good. We have 1 vacant seat, so we're still looking for another member.
Is there anything they're particularly interested in, Peter?
Well, the library.
Other than the library? I mean, when you say they're interested, what are they sniffing at?
I think people think we have more influence and authority than we do. So I think people get us and the Historic Commission confused sometimes. But there are all the CPC money that was approved. A lot of that is in Monument Square. So people were asking about those projects, and they can see the fencing is now up around the First Parish or the Holy Family Rectory. So that project is going to get going. First Parish Unitarian was given some money to repaint the dome. Holy Family's got some money. So there's a lot of work all of a sudden. And then the Colonial Inn is repainting at some point. So there's a lot going on.
And Holy Family does know that they need to come back as part of their conditions so you guys can approve the brick pattern for the structure. And then they're making a slight landscape change to change the location of the statue.
Again?
Yeah, it's in the same area. It's just
that poor woman.
It's a miracle.
So he is supposed to be contacting me soon. He'd like to set it up kind of as a site visit in the morning, so that you can see the brick pattern in person. He's gonna set up he's gonna grout it all and everything so you can see it, and then come in the evening for the amendment request for the statue.
Okay.
So that'll be coming down the road.
All right, and then we're going to get that fabulous new vote-containing box next to the town hall with a spotlight on it and neon sign, vote here. All right, enough mirth and hilarity. Any last comments from the commission, or can we adjourn? And somebody has to move, we adjourn.
I move that we adjourn.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Well,
Aye.
nice to see you all. Heather and Heather, thank you for all your work as usual. And we'll see you all in a couple of weeks at 8 in the morning.
Great.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
All right. Good night,
Cheerio.
all.
Bye. Have a
Nice
nice
to see you.
weekend.
You too.
Thank you.